following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
I rigged a light over your bed so it would fall and crush your head, but I missed you. I tried to hang you with a noose as you drank your morning juice, but I missed you. Just body. Well, this year for Valentine's, I sent a heart-shaped claymore mine, but it missed you. I hired pygmies with their darts, put a cobra down your shorts, but I missed you. Hey, I know a Cajun man with a giant alligator that's just dying to eat you. Yeah, and there's a mafioso in the concrete business wants to give you a new pair of overshoes. Ooh, you've been living on this earth too long. So long, so long. Ooh. Yeah. I tried to knock you for a loop, pour Drano in your soup. Ooh, but you liked it. I tried 5 Egyptian curses, told the Muslims you wrote the verses, but the Ayatollah couldn't find your address. What's the matter with you boys? I discreetly let it slip, told the blood you were a Crip, but they missed you, baby. Yeah, I dragged your good name through the mud, told the Crips you were a Blood, but they missed you. Hey! Ooh, 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 ooh.
Well, that was the awful Trumpet of Hairy Arms with Born Free. And before that, the Colon Sphincter Band and Missed You. Hi, and welcome to the 4th Brain Sandwich podcast. My name is Mike Madonna, and I'm here to bring you more of my stupid records and oddball recordings and things that you've probably never heard before. Hopefully you've never heard them before, but tonight, however, it'll be a little different because I am doing one of the blooper records that I have. If you're as old as I am, then you will know who Kermit Schaefer is and have probably heard these at one point. You probably snuck them out of your parents' record collection. But I'm going to play them for you here, unexpurgated. So this is, again, this is going to be a show that's not for children and whatnot. So let me go ahead and just introduce what you're going to be hearing. This is called 100 Super Duper Bloopers, and it's a 2-record set. So here is part 1 of 100 Super Duper Bloopers on the St. Louis Brain Sandwich Show.
This recording is a collection of hilarious radio and television bloopers. These unintended indiscretions heard over the airwaves are from Kermit Schaefer's famous collection of radio and television bloopers. This album is dedicated to the members of the radio and television industry who have been the victims of these classic boners.
In an earlier blooper recording, you heard the classic introduction of Herbert Hoover as Hubert Heaver. Let's listen to this classic introduction of another president, Gerald Ford.
President Gerald Ford with the DAR gathering in Washington today.
The leader of the DAR.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, President General Smith.
Audience participation programs, such as game shows, often result in unpredictable answers to questions from nervous contestants.
Before he goes to bed...
The first thing he does, the very first thing he does before he goes to bed, right?
We make love and then we go to sleep to go to bed. We do it in the bed, but then we go to sleep.
I should do is perhaps repeat the question. Now, you stay out of it, Judge. I don't need you right now. I got enough problems. This is the first thing he does before he goes to bed.
To go to sleep?
You mean he goes to sleep before he goes to bed?
No, we make love and then go to bed.
Yeah, I know that. Yes.
It's a ritual.
Yeah, right. It's a heck of a ritual. This is the Look, I have a hard job, Judge. So this is before he goes to bed, right? Forget about all that other stuff. This is before the first thing he does before he goes to bed.
Well, once he gets in bed...
No, I don't want to know about that. I want to know before he gets in bed.
He looks at me.
Thank you. The first thing you do before you go to bed. Yourself.
I can't say that, so I guess...
Before you go to bed.
Well, open the shower door, and then I take a shower.
What's the first thing you do? Open the shower door or take a shower?
Take a shower.
Oh, you take a shower before you open the door. I see. All right. Seriously, the first thing you do is you look at your wife. Brian?
The first thing I do before I go to bed is usually urinate.
The Brewers beat the Angels 1-0. Frank Tanana threw a 2-hitter for the losers, but Jim Colburn and Ed Rodriguez combined for the three-hit shutout by the Brewers. That's it on the Sports Line.
Due to the unpredictable nature of the weather, performers often get tripped up, as evidence this weather forecaster, aided and abetted by network radio personality Cedric Adams and his uncontrollable sense of humor.
The Weather Bureau radar indicates scattered light snow in the same location as at 5 a.m. Therefore, please continue to use the summary
Which you threw in the wastebasket.
issued at that. Wait a minute, I got it. I got it.
Had it in our little round file here.
Wait,
The radar right now shows a scattered to broken area of rain showers. So a few showers flitting around. Sioux Falls right now reports light rain showers. Light rain showers in 64. Huron light drizzle and 60. That was a legitimate mistake. Fargo light rain 58. A few, what was I going to say? A few showers flitting around. Is that what it was?
Should this have been realized, China need not develop the nuclear weapon. But this position of ours has met the stubborn resistance of the U.S. imperialists. What is your reaction to that statement, sir?
First of all, by the Chinese government, you mean the Chinese communists. As you know, we don't recognize the Chinese communists as the government of China. As to what you think my reaction is to that statement, I would say that I forgot what your question was.
Newsmen who read wire service copy without checking it in advance very often broadcast some very amusing unintended news items, such as the following.
Winston Churchill has celebrated his 84th birthday. He ate a 30-pound birthday cake along with his children and his grandchildren.
This is John Cameron Swayze in the ABC Radio Network newsroom in New York. From September 15th on, CRAM listeners will get the full benefit of the ABC Radio Network's worldwide news thank you very much. Son of a bitch.
Open mics can be dangerous. Let's listen to this classic example when a newsman didn't realize he was on the air.
NBC News special report today in Washington.
Bothered the heck out of me. I went out this morning and mowed the goddamn lawn. Came in about 2 o'clock.
It's Anaheim, and we're at the Barnum Brothers, Ringling Brothers Greater Circus.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Welcome to Anaheim and the opening night of the Barnum Brothers. Now, wait a minute, let's read it. Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. Here we are in Anaheim at the opening night of Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey's. Could you do that one? This is Bob Wells, ladies and gentlemen, the ringmaster for the Ringling.
Overseas in the Congo this morning, all attention is turned toward the United Nations and the appearance there of President Kasavubu. But strongman Colonel Joseph Mobutu is himself making a show of force, as reported now by ABC correspondent Joseph Kasavubu.
Girls, now it's your turn to predict how they will answer some 10-point questions. So, ladies, here's your first question. Girls, will your husband say he is basically more urban or rural? Corey?
Definitely rural.
Rural. Kathy, now, will your husband say he's basically more urban or rural?
I don't know what they mean.
Well, you know it. You married him. What do you think?
Heck, he's urban.
He's urban.
Yeah.
How long has he been that way?
For about 2 months.
2 months he's been there. Do you think there's anything he can do about it?
He went to a doctor.
Oh, he did? Did the doctor give him anything for his urban?
He gave me something.
Well, we were down to the 5-yard line. Our action momentarily interrupted.
Many different kinds of animals have interrupted football games, but perhaps none so unusual as this one. It's a big hippity-hop rabbit jacking off down the field.
It seems the majority of the people are confused over Proposition 14. If you're one of those, we advise that you read up on the initiative before going to the poll in November. Remember, if you're for the initiative, you're against the Rumford Fair Housing Bill. If you're against the initiative, you're for the Rumford Fair Housing Bill. I will try that again. If you're against the initiative, you're against the... If you're for the initiative, you're against... I will try that again. If you're against the initiative, you're against the... If you're for the initiative, you're against the initiative.
One of the great prize fighters of yesteryear had a difficult name to pronounce, Paolino Unskadam. However, sportscaster Chris Schinkel came up with this pronunciation.
The only Basque ever known in this country was an iron-chinned heavyweight named Paolino Uzkundam, who managed to go 12 rounds with Joe Louis.
Now, rock and roll fans, here's a new record by Gladys Knight and the Pimps. Pips.
Now stand by for the running of the exciting annual race car event, the Grand Prix. Grand P. However the hell you pronounce it. I'll give you the spelling, you take your choice. Grand Prix.
The great Groucho Marx, known for his sharp wit, ad-libbed the following when he asked the contestant why he had 12 children.
Why do you have so many children?
Because I like my wife.
I like my cigar, too, but I take it out sometimes.
There are many unforeseen conditions which can interrupt broadcast transmissions. However, none can be more devastating and confusing than a strike by broadcast technicians.
NBC Radio, News on the Hour, brought to you by Cools, America's most refreshing cigarette. The cigarette with mild menthol for that clean, cool taste. Now here is Frank Burkholzer, NBC News.
NBC management announces that an unauthorized strike against radio and television networks continue, but normal programming is being maintained by supervisory personnel. President Eisenhower has vetoed a bill which would have taken away from the Secretary of Agriculture his power over REA loans. He said it was a major retreat from sound administrative policy.
Have you ever wondered what would happen if a performer should sneeze while on the air? Listen to this example.
It is a total war, a war on the economic, the social, and the political front.
It's quite all right. I'll take this out. Just clear your throat.
No, well, I had to sneeze.
Reliable network newscaster John Scally was the victim of this blooper.
Colonel Olds, you've pioneered the use of these planes over North Korea at night. What sort of operation is this? Is it new?
Well, John, it's a new war. It's not North Korea now. It's North Vietnam.
Let's turn back the clock to listen to this classic moment when the legendary Al Jolson was the guest on the Bing Crosby Kraft Music Hall.
Going back to the good old days with you, Bing, you know, I could go on like this all night.
Thanks, Al, but I'm afraid we'll have to take a breather.
Well, don't tell me you're tired, sonny boy.
Not that, Al, but along about here in the show, we get a commercial. You got to remind the folks that we've got a Philco or so available.
Why, Bing, why don't we sing that old commercial?
I'm willing to take a chance on it if you are.
Well, let's go. Can we have a little music, John Scott?
You'll make friends of every stranger
with a Philco record changer
from the table side.
To those that weigh a ton.
Or to make your life ecstatic,
we can't be too emphatic.
Get that brand new automatic 1201.
Take it.
Yes. F is for fashion, fidelity, or fame.
F is for fabulous, as you know.
Oh, man, we're cooked.
A report from France tells of a man who threw everything in his apartment out the second-story window. A big crowd stood around watching, not because of what he was doing, not because of what he was wearing, because he was naked, but because he was singing the Marseillaise. And everyone stands around when the French national anthem is played. That's the news, BBC New York.
When a performer bloops a line, it's one thing, but when the important message in a commercial is fouled up, it can have serious consequences for the sponsor.
So remember, girls, Hidden Magic Shampoo puts hair on your body. Oh, that should be, body in your hair.
Roger. Minus 30. Securing lock, thanks.
And the tension is building at NASA headquarters. Astronaut Alan Shepard is now going over his checklist before launching.
Intel?
One of the problems facing broadcasters is double meaning. Let's listen to this classic example.
Okay, couple number 3, what Beatles song reminds you of your wedding night?
It's been a hard day's night.
And it's raining again. It appears just a matter of minutes before play will be called because of the weather. As the Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher stands on the mound, you can barely see the PP on his muddy uniform.
But telephone companies furnish telephone facilities to broadcasters with the result that broadcast stations sometimes get their wires crossed.
Her eyes are beautiful, beautiful.
The Catholic Hour, now in its 25th year, presents the Reverend John Schultz of the Redemptorist Order. In the second of a series of transcribed programs entitled
And your eyes
Suffer Little Ones to Come Unto Me.
When you use Maybelline.
Father Schultz, who is well known by audiences throughout the country for his fine lectures, has devoted a series to the children of America and their parents.
Natural line of your brow.
Bob Burns, a popular comedian in the early days of radio, was known for his sharp wit and for playing the bazooka, his own musical creation. He became the innocent victim of a tongue twister when he was a guest on a nationwide radio show.
Now, I'm going to play a little number that I wrote myself. I'm going to play it on my guitar and sing it to you. It's called the Raccoon Hunt. Raccoon Hunt. I'm going to... They cut... I think you ought to know they recut these things anyhow. Oh, you're so nice. I'm glad that didn't happen on my show. That certainly would give the Lever brothers something to fight over. I'm not going to go on anymore, but you're awfully nice about it. Thank you very much. I'm going to sing this little number. It's called the Raccoon Hunt. Now then, this is about a time a boy and I went coon hunting down in Arkansas, and just don't blame anybody else. I'm doing it all myself.
Nevertheless, this is true. At harness tracks, they prevent the appearance of so-called ringers by checking the nuts of the entrance. Chestnuts are the slatish, gray, wart-like formations on the insides of the knees on all four legs of a horse. Now, they're never the same on any two animals.
Good evening. Here are tonight's headlines. Nixon gets stoned on trip. Many unpredictable moments occur in live broadcasting. As a result, announcers have to think quickly. We take you to ringside of a wrestling match for this example.
Get the hell off me, you sweaty son of a bitch. Please watch your language here, sir. We're doing a live radio broadcast.
We take you to England, where a live cooking show is in progress.
Okay, here's a recipe that I think your whole family will like. It's very simple if you listen carefully. First you take 2 eggs, half a pint of milk, a little salt. You mix the whole thing together and tip into a well-greased bedpan. Oh, sorry about that. I mean bread pan.
Lawrence Welk, one of television's best-known performers, sometimes has a problem with the English language. Let's listen to how this musical introduction sounded.
And now the orchestra and the boys and girls are going together to do a medley of songs from a World War I.
Well, I think the temperature's dropping. While this record's playing, I'll go take a leak at the thermometer. Station promos are the terms used to describe program advertising. However, they often become long-winded, as evidence this promo for Long Journey.
Lone Journey, heard every weekday morning on ABC, unveils the heartbreak of 3 lonely people. It's a lone journey for Sidney McKenzie because she's married to Lansing and in love with Wolf. Will Sidney regret her decision to stick by her husband at all costs? She and Lansing have been marooned in Wolf's ranch house by a raging snowstorm. Sidney has pneumonia, Lansing a broken arm. Both need care that Wolf is willing to give, but which Lansing resents because of his seething jealousy of the man who was once married to his wife. But Lansing's jealousy has jumped the bounds of common sense. He struck Wolf in an unreasonable rage. He tried to burn the penicillin intended for Sidney because Wolf was going to administer it. In striking out at Wolf, will Lansing destroy what he's trying so desperately to keep, Sidney's love? Hear Lone Journey over ABC today. Pauline Frederick is heard Monday at this time. This program came from New York. This is the American Broadcasting Company.
Broadcasts which deal with remotes which originate from several locations very often result in problems over which the program has no control.
It was a terrific race. The weather was clear, and the people gave quite an ovation to Buddy Werner when he came in his last effort to unseat the champion.
Where's my clothes?
What?
Where the hell is the clothes? Will you identify yourself and say, and now back to Monitor and Radio Central?
All right. Ready? This is Kit Carson White, a ski reporter from San Francisco. I'd like to return you back to Monitor in San Francisco.
Look, Kid, you say this. Your name is Kit Carson White?
Yes.
Would you please say, this is Kit Carson White in Squaw Valley, now back to Monitor and Radio Central?
All right. This is Kit Carson White from Squaw Valley. Now back to Radio Monitor.
Let's try it again. It's Monitor and Radio Central.
Monitor in Radio Central. All right. This is Kit Carson White, Squaw Valley. And now back to Radio Monitor in Central.
Kid, let's try it slow this time, huh?
Well, let me write it down. There's some people coming in.
It's Monitor and Radio Central.
Monitoring Radio Central. All right. This is Kit Carson White from Squaw Valley. And now back to Radio Monitor in Central.
Let's tune in an early Bob Hope radio show when he became a victim of this unintended blooper.
I bet you were frightfully upset.
Not old Rob. Not me. I just cooked my cocktail.
say before. You mean... Oh. I'd like to get a fresh start on the whole day.
Live telephone interviews have become a source of program entertainment, with the result that the unpredictable often occurs.
Hello.
Hello? You know who this is?
Oh, hello there.
How are you?
Okay.
I've been lying here in bed lately wondering what you look like.
All right.
And I've come to the conclusion, I would say that you're about 6 feet tall, 155 pounds.
Yeah, true, so far.
Light brown hair. Am I right so far?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You are very erect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is, you stand very erect. I would think you have a fairish complexion.
Fair.
I think it would be great if we could see you exposed. I mean, in public.
Well, I'm going up to the nudist colony Sunday.
The clock on the wall and the need to close programs on time very often puts extra pressure on announcers, which very often results in a blooper, such as the following. You could also win a beautiful riding mower with optional ass scratcher, a grass scratcher. Carl Smith, 83, a lifetime resident of this city, passed away at his home Tuesday night. Funeral services for Mr. Smith will be held in the chapel of the First Methodist Church. Entertainment will follow in the cemetery. Excuse me, that should have been internment. It has been said that out of the mouths of babes oft time comes gems. Let's listen to Strike It Rich for this classic example.
And Tony, what are you going to do with the $10?
I'm going to take the money and buy my mommy and daddy a pair of pajamas because when they go to bed, they don't have any on.
And from London, we learn that Beatle Ringo Starr is in hospital for an operation on his tonsils.
We were never able to learn if this sportscaster committed a Freudian slip.
That rounds up all the games tonight in the National Basketball League, and now on the scoreboard in the National Honky League.
Veteran newscaster Lowell Thomas is known for his uncontrollable sense of humor. His breakups when something strikes him funny have become legendary in broadcasting.
Lowell Thomas and the news. Paul, have you a few more unforgettable words?
About a new book called Diet or Die. Author, Mrs. Celesta Geyer, perhaps better known to millions of carnival fans as the one-time Dolly Dimples. Remember, the world's most beautiful fat lady? That was the billing Mrs. Geyer used when she weighed 555 pounds. Now it's felt 122. She tells in her book how she did it, following the advice of a doctor who told her after a near-fatal heart attack to diet or die. The secret of effective weight loss, massive willpower, says Mrs. Geyer, adding that her own willpower was strengthened by the memory. Well, anyhow, she said that her fat friends from carnival life died at an early age, later buried from the back of a truck. Those are her own words. Why truck? Because, said Mrs. Geyer, they were too big for a hearse. Oh, gosh.
Oh. And so long until Monday, Lowell. Listen each evening, Monday through Friday at this same time, for the distinctive news reports of Lowell Thomas.
Now, you already know the fine entertainment they have there, but I want to tell you of a spectacular they're having on this coming Friday night. For the first time in history, I repeat, for the first time in history, see a man rape a horse. For the first time in history, see a man race a porpoise. Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry. Now, what do you find on pool tables that you find in men's trousers?
Balls.
Actually, we were thinking of pockets.
Musical performers very often bloop the lyrics of a song with unfortunate results. But some performers have the gift of improvisation, which can turn disaster into entertainment.
Welcome to the Mike Douglas Show. Now, here's the star of our show, Mike Douglas.
When all the songs are out of tune and all the rhymes ring so untrue, when I don't find the words to say the thoughts I long to bring to you, when I hear lonely singers who are just as lost as me, making noise, not melody, you will be my music. I can't wait any longer if I'm wrong. And I have blown the song, so I'll start the whole thing again, 'cause I sang it all completely wrong. The audience doesn't know the difference. They think I'm perfect all the way. Some have come as far as Florida. They're from Kansas and from Texas, all around. I've written them a song that is a hit, and they think I'm great.
Who's perfect. You don't want somebody who's perfect who doesn't make a mistake. Am I right? Right? Just like you. That's why they put erasers on the pencils.
In Stockholm, doctors have removed a toothbrush from the stomach of a woman. It had been there for 16 years. How did the toothbrush get in her stomach? Well, the lady says back in 1952 she had a bad case of stomach upset and she tried to use the toothbrush to relieve it. Then she hicked when she should have cupped, and that toothbrush has been in her stomach for 16 years. That's the news.
Politicians are prone to making bloopers. Let's listen to Senator Barry Goldwater for this example.
I know of no American who wants to be a rich slave. I know Americans would rather be poor and slaves. Poor and free, I should say.
A single-engine Navy fighter collided with what apparently was a buzzard. The pilot was forced to eject. He parachuted to safety. Navy authorities at Jacksonville. I can't see this plane hitting the buzzard. A fantastic story at Dunellen, Florida today when a single-engine Navy fighter on a routine... The Navy authorities at Jacksonville say Lieutenant Theodore Schwartz...
All right, that was the first album in the Super Duper Bloopers collection. The first 50, presumably, of these bloopers. And we'll get to the second 50 in just a little bit here, but I wanted to break it up with a different kind of a record here. This is something that I found initially on The World's Worst Records Volume 2 by Rhino. They had put it out, first of all, on vinyl and then on cassette, but it never made it to CD as far as I know. And it's called the Trog Tapes. And it's the English group, the Trogs, were apparently having a recording session, and it wasn't going well. And so they're yelling and screaming at each other. And I wanted to play this for years, but I couldn't, of course, because of the content. And you couldn't do this stuff on the radio. And if I were to cut it out, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense and would just change what's funny about it to begin with. So here is the Trog tapes on the St. Louis Brain Sandwich Show.
Given to it, it's a fucking number one. It is. Whether you
I'd
fucking
like
think
to
so
agree.
or not, that is a number fucking one. And if that bastard don't go, then I fucking retire. I fucking do.
I think it is a good song. I agree, it is a good song.
But it fucking won't be unless we spend a little bit of fucking thought and imagination to fucking make it fucking number one. You gotta put a little bit of fucking fairy dust over the bastard. You know, look at, you know.
We'll put some fairy dust
well,
over it. I'll piss over the tape.
I'm a fairy dust. You know what I mean? It's
You know.
I don't know what it needs then, but I know that it needs.
I know that it needs strings.
It
that
needs-
I do know.
Right.
Right.
And it needs something at the beginning of that number to make somebody remember it.
Look, yeah, while we were arguing it, we could be trying to get some sound out there, trying to get something right. So what do you suggest we do then? Give it up for the night?
No, not at all. I don't say give it up. I'll stay here till tomorrow night.
Well, then what's wrong?
Just provided we get something going.
We will.
Get something going.
We
We're just
will.
trying different things.
But it's that what he was playing. Agreed. The sound is
Listen, we
fucking
got
phony,
about
and it ain't
what?
what
We
we
got 1,
want.
2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 producers in here tonight.
We haven't got 6 producers.
Yes, we have. If we had one producer here tonight, we'd get it right. Or he would get it the way he thinks he should be. But because we haven't got a producer, we're all fucking pitching in ideas.
Yeah, well,
Which
we
are
always
probably,
do
most
that.
of them are wrong, you know.
Not necessarily. They're
Yeah,
not
but most of them
necessarily
are
wrong.
But we're trying them. And it makes his life fucking hell. You have one producer that's something great. But we haven't got a producer. We were supposed to have a fucking producer. But we haven't got one.
Yeah.
So
This
we've
is
got a
what
problem.
he's been going fucking wrong. You've got to have a fucking bloke that says, I've got a fucking sound in here that's fucking great. Come in
Somebody
here and
who
have a
knows
fucking listen to it. And you come in here and it's probably a different fucking tune nearly. But if it's fucking good, yeah, that's it. But when we
But
walk
what
through
would
that
you have
door
said
and
if
we
a
think,
producer
oh, fuck
would have
no,
been here and
you
he
know.
would have left it exactly as it is, as you've got it now?
What producer would do that?
I don't know. There might be. You don't know. He might say keep it like that and put whatever else,
Well,
strings
we
or
wouldn't have-
whatever.
We wouldn't have signed a contract with him in the first place.
Who?
Any producer.
You don't have to sign a contract with him.
Right.
You don't have to sign a contract
Well,
to have
thank you and
with a
good night,
producer to have a record produced.
And we thank you and good night if he left it the way it is now.
Ah, you see, then you'd argue with
Right,
him.
Yeah. But no
Well, there you
producer
are.
would leave it like that.
You don't know.
No.
No producer would
You know, he might say we'll put other things on it. We'll overdub. You know, we'll put strings on it or brass or whatever his idea on, or a fucking wobble board. I don't know. But would you agree to that?
Well, for a fucking start, I don't suppose he'd even.
Oh yeah, sure.
He'd
But
even
would you,
fucking
would you
start.
agree? Would you have a Would you
Within
have a
the
producer
first-
sit
within
here
the
and
first
say,
half an hour,
"That's
I'd
it"?
either have faith in the
That
candor
is
or I
what we
wouldn't.
want. That is what we need. Because you can see the way we're going on. We need a producer to say, no, you're not doing that, you're fucking doing this. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you'd wear it.
We would.
We
if we had the
would.
right
If
producer.
we had faith in him, and we'd know whether we had faith in him within the first fucking half an hour.
Did you do exactly what Larry Page said?
Yes.
Yep.
That's how they had hit records.
Because there was just one fucking mind on it.
Until we had that
Not
fucking big
fucking
band
7 or 8.
We didn't even fucking get a say in it. It was fucking wham. It was in the can. Regardless, you reckon that was bad? Fuck me. He used to, you know. I mean, one take. That's it. Finish. We say, well, and you never had a fucking say, and it was out. As weak and fucking insipid you used to think, well, fucking hell.
We thought with a girl like you was fucking terrible. And we said, let's go in and do it again. And that was the only fucking time he let us fucking
have our way.
And could we get anything fucking better?
No.
Fucking the first thing he
all
fucking
day,
did.
all fucking day.
Was
we were
it?
in there at 9 o'clock. We didn't come out until like 3 o'clock the next fucking morning. And they had Mick Jagger, you name them, they were fucking in there to try and make it better.
Anyway,
And
Chris
they
is
couldn't.
sitting out there wondering what he's fucking going to do. Now, what are we going to do?
What about a fucking 12-string on it? Doing what he was doing. That sounded
Play
so
the beginning
Tell you what,
again, Barry.
We could put that on. Let's just put it on. It can always be taken off afterwards.
Play the beginning again.
Because we're not going to mix down tonight, anyway.
That sounds empty, and unless you can get really something exceptional...
Just play the beginning again.
Yeah! No! You had it there at the beginning, Ron. It was sounding good. Just, Ronnie, just listen for a sec.
All fucking night, but I
You-
just cannot feel it any other way than what I've been fucking doing it.
You have played it tonight.
Well, you better fucking forget it then, because I ain't gonna be able to do it. I'll tell you that now. I cannot fucking do it. I don't know, because if that's the case, then we should fucking find out before we ever get to the fucking studio that we want to fucking do that, and that, because we've been doing it everything.
It's easy, you've done it
Week after fucking week, it's been going down. You know, but don't expect fucking miracles just like that, Reg. It's fucking in there, embedded in there. I can't fucking hear it any other way but that.
But you have done it. You did it.
It is exactly the same rhythm as you were playing before. It's da-da-da-da-da, ja, da-da-da-da-da. On different drums, that's all.
You're doing
We're not asking you to put any
da-ba-da-ba,
more beats
boom,
in.
boom, ba.
Play da-da-da-da-da, ja.
No more beats.
Just play da-da-da-da-da, ja, on whatever drums you were playing on originally. How you got
Yeah.
it embedded in there.
Yo, all right.
Right, and then just start moving it about on different drums. And that's all it is. What you were doing is exactly the same as what you were doing originally on different drums.
Only you were doing
yeah,
it.
I know.
And you
I
did
know.
it. And you did it. You went.
You can say that all fucking night, but
Yeah,
you
we-
won't listen.
We can keep on trying and then you can get it
Yeah,
together.
well, just shut your fucking mouth for 5 minutes and give me a fucking chance to do it. Don't
All right,
keep fucking rocking down that fucking microphone. There. Fuck me, Reg. Just fuck
Well,
off
you
in
fucking
there
think, and we're not.
and just keep going
Then we're
fucking
not
through
here.
it. Don't just keep saying, oh yeah, well that ain't right. I know it ain't fucking right. I can fucking hear it ain't right, you cunt. Well, fuck me, you
I
say...
can hear it's fucking not right too.
I fucking can, and I'm the cunt that's playing it. So when I fucking hear it in me fucking head, yeah, that's what I gotta fucking do, then I'll do it. You big pranny.
Listen, we keep on playing it and just
Fucking
play
hell.
what you think is right. Okay, right, well, can you sing along with it as well? Because then we'll know where we are, so we all change at the same time.
Oh, my dear.
Fucking drummer, I shit him. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're doing it fucking wrong. Dabba 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 cha, dabba 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 cha, dabba 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 cha, dabba dabba. You did it in the beginning. Bloody hell, I can't play with that. Hey? Well, you're fucking doing it.
No, and I can't fucking play with it either.
Why don't you just do what you fucking started out doing? Dabba 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 cha. Do it on your top one. Dabba 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 cha. Dabba 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 cha. No.
Well, yeah, you're talking at the back of your fucking asses because all you want then is the same fucking thing that I was playing fucking originally.
Right, on
bastards.
fucking
On
drums,
different
Ronnie.
drums. Well then, all you want then is the fucking that one and the fucking bass drum playing the same thing.
You're the drummer.
Yes, you fucking do. Because that's all you're fucking doing.
Tell me what
You ain't playing any fucking thing else. All right, I play that. I'm going. And you're changing the fucking thing all completely because you can't fucking do it.
No, Ronald, listen.
You're going. Yeah, well, fucking.
Exactly the same thing on different drums.
You don't fucking listen, that's your trouble.
We didn't say we want different things on fucking different.
We're saying what you... And you did it.
You did
it.
But on different drums. And then change it around and do it the other fucking way round.
Oh, fuck it. You fucking always fucking get this. You go.
You should have a little more time than to be able to just flip it over and change it.
Well, I keep getting it in the fucking head so long.
In fact, we're not
That's
asking you to change it much. We're only asking you to do half of it on one drum, half of it on the other, and the bang wherever you want to bang.
Ronnie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What about trying it not on that top, just on that top skin floor and then your floor tom-tom, but try it on, split your hands so that one beat is doing it on the top drum, one's doing it on the floor tom-tom, then your bass. Sounds a bit... Right?
From the World's Worst Records, Volume 2, that was the Trog tapes. And I'm finally glad to be able to get to play that unexpurgated. I couldn't do that on public airwaves. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, if you want to check out our webpage, go to brainsandwich.bravehost.com. And there's all kinds of weird and wonderful videos and things up there. And our future shows will be posted there. You can also get a hold of us there, or more directly at brainboys@aol.com. Here is 100 Super Duper Bloopers, Part 2, on The Brain Sandwich Show.
Our show will continue after these words from our first sponsor, Sunsweet Prune Juice. Well, we're off and running. Milton Cross has been known as the Dean of Announcers. His broadcasts from the Metropolitan Opera House in New York have been heard worldwide.
And now the house lights are dimming. The hush falls over the expectorant audience as our maestro, the well-known American conductor, makes his way to the podium.
GOP House Leader Gerald Ford of Michigan has called for a constitutional amendment to do away with the Electoral College. Electoral College.
Sportscaster Bill Stern is listed in the Hall of Fame of Broadcasting. Let's listen to one of his memorable moments when he blooped the following.
Imagine, the hatch of a great rocket ship swings open. A man steps out. Rocket ship.
Good evening, Bill Stern. Tonight's story in a moment. If you suffer from dry skin, you'll find welcome relief in a Sardo bath. Just one capful of Sardo in your tub bathes away dry skin. Makes every inch of your soot. I said makes every inch of your soot.
I'm glad you were able to make our broadcast. We were just beginning to get a little worried as to whether you would arrive in time.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late because I went to see my Uncle Jack off on the Queen Mary.
Newsmen who originate their newscast from the battlefield are very often frustrated by the sounds of battle.
The cavalry's new operation area is sparsely populated by Vietnamese civilians and heavily infiltrated by North Vietnamese. It's the type of situation that allows the cavalry to bring their full firepower to bear against the goddamn son of a bitch.
And now,
back to Walter O'Keefe and his next contestant on Double or Nothing.
Gee, I'd rather see you win here today than anybody else up here, I swear.
I'd like to win.
You're not married?
No.
Where's your family from? Where's your dad from?
Well, my dad is from northern Michigan. He's
What
a
does he do?
casket maker.
A casket maker?
Right.
Oh, Anna, tell me, have you had any unusual experiences in your work as a waitress?
Oh, I've had several.
For instance, anything that we could do with a daytime audience? You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
All right, what?
One is, yesterday I ran into, I'd hate to embarrass the man that's in the audience,
Yeah.
but he asked me a question that I didn't know how to answer, but
Yeah.
he asked me, he said his friend went to the doctor and he was very sick. And
Yeah.
he says, I didn't know what to do, and he says, I don't know what to tell him, do you?
Mm-hmm.
So, right away I says, yes, maybe I can, I don't know.
Yeah.
I says, what the trouble was? He said, well, he can't go out nights, he can't eat, can't do nothing.
Poor guy.
And he said he had to send his wife away on a vacation. He said, so what do you think we should do with it? Well, me, I didn't know what to answer there, so I said, well, I don't know. What's your suggestion? He said, well, I think you should get a good-looking girl like you and take her home and just have a big screwing party. I said, what?
Now,
I said, why not go down to the
why don't we-
hardware
Anna,
and
why
get
don't-
a screw?
Anna,
and
why
let
don't
him
we
have
go
fun.
on with the questions we have here?
The U.S. Army enlisted man in a communist ambush 50 miles north of Saigon. This American was riding back to camp with 4 Vietnamese soldiers. They'd been helping villagers clear lands for crops.
Silver Leaven, ladies, why is new Tarnish Yield Silver Tarnish Preventive and Cleaner like a 3-for-1 sale? Oh, yes.
Technical difficulties play havoc with network news shows, especially when they are aired live. Let's listen to newsman Frank Blair for this classic example.
Lieutenant General Nguyen Van Tu, Chief of State and military candidate for president, finally showed up at a rally with the civilian candidates. That story from Charles Murphy in South Vietnam. We'll get that story from Charles, not quite ready yet. In the meantime, at the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri, the 6th annual meeting of the Midwestern Governors Conference opens today. For a report, here is Don Oliver at the conference. Well, we'll have that report a little later, too. This story, I'm sure I can handle myself. The so-called Torch of Peace is moving slowly across the continent from San Francisco this morning in the hands of a relay of runners. It is a peace campaign of a new kind. That story from John Dancy in San Francisco. You're kidding. Well, we'll have that story a little later on. I hope we find time for all of these things. There's news from the Italian town of Caramanico Terme today that will surprise no one. Some people are genuinely allergic to work. According to a report submitted to a conference on allergies, muscular activity on the part of those afflicted by work releases an extra amount of histamine, a stimulant that causes rashes and allergies. With a newscast like that, I'm getting more allergic every minute. Are we going to try for some of these stories now? We're ready. Over the weekend, as we told you, Lieutenant General Van Tu, who is one of the presidential candidates in South Vietnam, finally started some campaigning with the civilians. And here's that story now from Charles Murphy in South Vietnam. What page do you want, Larry?
Do the weather.
Do the weather. Okay. Probably won't get the weather map this time. No, we do have difficulties once in a while like that because of the nature of this program. We switch around to several different parts of the country, and sometimes it works very well. Other times we have our difficulties, and we're having them this morning.
More details on the automobile accident in which a woman driver lost control of her car on a curve, crashed through the guardrail, and rolled down a steep embankment. She was understandably shaken by this experience. As she reached the highway, she collapsed.
All this comes from your little homemaker's helper here, Howie Viken, the people's Peter pleaser, the Peter's people pleaser.
Mrs.
Pruitt from Texas. Excuse me a moment, ma'am, while I make contact with Mrs. Louise Jacobs in Detroit, Michigan. Hello, Mrs. Louise Jacobs.
Hello there.
How are you, Louise?
Fine, thank you.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, Louise. How's everything in the Motor City?
Oh, everything's all right.
Good. Does your husband work in the automobile industry?
He's working in a machine shop.
He does? And what does he do in the machine shop?
He's a tool maker.
How long have you folks been married?
32 years.
32 years?
Yes.
That's a mighty, mighty long time. Do you have any children?
9.
9? Ma'am, your husband's not a tool maker. He's a producer. Congratulations. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And how did you meet your husband?
I met him at the box social.
At a box social?
Yes.
What sort of a box social?
Oh, church box.
Oh, you mean where everybody brings box lunches?
Yes.
And then they bid. That's an real old-fashioned custom. The girl brings the box and the man bids on it. Is that the idea?
Yes.
And what did he pay for your little package that you brought? Sponsor for us right now, you know that. Well, I bet you had a good time anyway. Yeah. Well, it's been awfully nice speaking to you, Mrs. Jacobs. They're in Detroit, Michigan.
This message was brought to you by the Upper Midwest Council for Better Vision. Better Vision.
The following is a classic example of the ingenuity of the fast-thinking quizmaster.
No, sir, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Well, now, wait a minute. You've been asking us to spell words. How about you spelling one for us? Be glad if I can. What's the word? Spell gonorrhea. Gondolier. 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 Thank you very much, sir.
So they'll sit out their penalty time in the dressing room and get a jump on the other guys getting into the shower.
The Watergate hearings filled the airwaves with months of testimony, with the result that bloopers such as the following occurred.
Do you expect us to believe that you and John Ehrlichman, two of President Nixon's closet advisors, told him nothing about this plan, sir?
Well, the only thing I can think of is a while back I had a rubber spider, and I put it in the shower.
You put a rubber spider in the shower?
She hates spiders.
What happened?
She came running back out.
This was before we were married.
Clock showing only 10 seconds to go, and now Orr catches the puck and rams it in between the goalie's legs and scores. Goalie.
Service will be cut back by about 25% due to the shortage of diesel fuel.
The copy in a commercial does not always run well with the title of a motion picture.
This portion of our late movie, The Running Man, starring Lawrence Harvey and Lee Remick, is brought to you tonight by X-Lax.
In this day and age of initial-oriented organizations, there has often been confusion between the NCAA football and an organization representing blacks.
Good afternoon, football fans. This is another Saturday's football game between the University of Alabama and the University of Mississippi, which was brought to you under the auspices of the NAACP. That'll be the day. Under the auspices of NCAA college football in color.
You've been listening to the latest news and comment from ABC Radio.
Secretary Udall says you can find Naples in New Orleans, the hills of Rome in San Francisco, more Rembrandts in New York than Amsterdam, and more Italian art at the National Gallery in Washington than you'll find in any city in Italy.
One thing that a performer must remember is to be sure his microphone is not open when he makes off-the-cuff remarks.
This is Total Information News. Bob Johnson reporting. $35,000 was stolen from the First National Bank and Trust Company on East Colonial. Total Information News has learned from tellers at the scene that 3 men demanded money be put into the cosmetic case. I'm glad I don't keep my money there.
And now, Virginia Graham answers her mail.
Today's letter is from Miss C.S. And Mrs. C.S. has a problem with her husband. He hasn't been coming home at night and giving her the marital devotion that she feels is necessary. She has lived with him for several years, and she feels that this is an indication of perhaps a sterility or a desire to have love. Now listen, Mike Walsh, you have been doing this too long. I have got to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, that he's an impossible person and has been making on the air, and I have promised that I wouldn't do it anymore.
Virginia,
so
dear,
yes,
I'll take care of it. We're going to take a cutaway now, and then we'll come back in just a moment.
No, I will continue. And I'll continue talking. Now, I'm very sorry. I think maybe we ought to go to music, and I'll come back and I'll do my spot later.
Ryan's US B-52 bombers early today struck at a major... Hold it a minute, please. We're getting right off. We've got a power shortage. What the hell is this?
Beautiful Raquel Welch is shown on the set in Miami Beach, where she is filming The Lady in Cement. Miss Welch has improved her stature as an actress and box office attraction. She has won the Interstate Theater Star of the 60s Award and the International Star of the Year from Cinerama and Pacific Theaters. Miss Welch is the proud owner of 2 really big ones.
Hi, headquarters in Brooklyn.
Hello, this is WCBS News calling. Is there someone we can speak to for information on that 2-alarm fire?
Yes, ma'am. I can give you all the info you want.
All right, sir. Suppose you give me your name first so I can identify you.
My number is 55.
No, your name, sir? Can I...
I don't have no name.
Let's get back to the music part of the program. Here's one by Miss Eartha Kitt. God's sakes.
No, I think that the climax of the play occurred when the stars decided to marry.
Oh, I disagree. It occurred earlier, and the marriage was really anticlimactic. Don't think that I mean that marriage is an anticlimax. There are many climaxes in marriage. Well, I am sure that you all know what I mean.
Everyone has experienced the giggles at one time or another. However, when performers become the victims of giggles on the air, it can result in hysteria.
Right now, your animal health supplier is giving away free a special introductory size can of Pfizer Uddertone. Well, with each 12-tube carton of terramycin for mastitis that you buy, you get this special introductory size can of Pfizer Uddertone. Here we go. Oh, my goodness. Terramycin, now let's get serious, of course, is the mastitis treatment that now you want me to read that for you? Now listen, I'm going to make it. I've got all day down here, and say, help me, I'm going to... Terramycin gives faster, more thorough udder coverage than any other broad-range treatment can because of its unique all-liquid formula. And I thought I had it there for a minute. You think I ought to do it? No, I'm going to make it. I'm halfway through. And you'll find Pfizer Uddertone just great for soothing...
Why don't we come back to it?
No, listen, if I give up, I'll never make it. I'm going to face this thing right now because it'll be hanging over me all day.
So, ladies, when you are thinking of an all-season thirst quencher, treat your family to a drink that's a delight, winter or summer. Instant white rose, hot or cold, orange Tico P.
Let's listen to this announcer's blooper during the presentation of the long-running dramatic series, The Edge of Night.
We will return to the urge of night in a moment.
And here's one for the Guinness Book of Records. A local basketball fan trying to set a record spent 14 hours straight dribbling on the floor of his apartment. It could bring him fame and fortune, but it seems like a lot of time to spend playing with yourself. And that's the news.
Let's tune in on this political broadcast where candidates were seeking supporters. And today, in their never-ending search for support, 9 Democratic presidential candidates exposed themselves in Washington, D.C. before the Democratic governors.
The organist here at Anaheim Stadium has a most unusual name. Shea Torrent. Isn't that right, Herb?
Yeah, I think that's it. Shea Torrent, yes.
Line foul passed first. A high inside fastball.
He's got one of the best organs, too, Scotty. Boy, it's a peach.
It's Arthur Godfrey time. And now here's that man himself, Arthur Godfrey.
Now, you folks who saw the first half of our show had the pleasure of watching a group of talented young people from Holland, Michigan. They call them the Klompen dancers. Klompen, I'm turd. I'm told, is the Dutch wold, the Dutch word for wooden shoes.
Chester's Restaurant in the Market Street Arcade specializes in tasty food served quickly and attractively. So for a change of pace lunch, stop by Chester's Restaurant, where this week's special is a chilled grease sandwich and a choke.
Son of a bitch.
What do you say about Roosevelt that hasn't been said already? He was a legend practically in his own time. The New Deal, the Supreme Court, the jaunty way that he held his cigarette lighter in his mouth.
A spoonerism is an unintended interchange of syllables. Let's listen to this classic example.
Our next model is showing the latest thing in hot pants. This controversial fashion follows the mini and the maxi. You will notice that this hot pants outfit can also be worn as a two-place pea suit.
Here is Lowell Thomas in another one of his classic breakups.
Lowell Thomas and the news.
Problems up there in space? Oh, yes. Head colds for all three. Also a cabin full of crumbs and water puddles. Not to mention a lack of sleep, but everything considered, they reported still go for 11 days. Well, let's get back to Earth.
Most of the bowlers bring along their wives for caddies. They like to carry their husbands' balls from lane to lane.
Well, today I'd like to tell you about a box, about a very special kind of box. Perhaps you own such a box yourself, and in it may be the same curious assortment of treasures. Now, if the owner of the box I have in mind were to tell you about it, she would say something like this. Years ago, when John and I were first married, we bought ourselves what is called in those days a strong box. The first things we put in it were our marriage certificate and a few securities. But as time passed... You want to take it? But as time passed, many kinds of things found their way into the box. There was the orchid carefully pressed that John gave me on our first anniversary. There was a lock of our baby's hair, packs of love letters, a service medal, a Purple Heart. And among these things, the most meaningful treasure of all was John's Prudential life insurance. And friends, the Prudential makes it easier for a man to be foresighted. You see, he doesn't have to depend on time and long, slow effort to create security for his family. Can you think of a safer, surer, more convenient way to protect your family?
How does it feel to be married to such a world-famous soccer player? Oh, soccer player.
Well, when he's away, I have to take charge of everything. I have to be pretty much the man in the family.
You mean you have to wear the trousers at that time?
Yeah, but when he comes home, I take them off.
Evel Knievel, one of the great daredevils of our time, knows no fear. Let's tune in on one of his telephone interviews, which was broadcast coast to coast, and hear his fearless comments.
I do not take seriously anything the Reclamation Department might have to say. I'm not interested in obtaining any kind of a permit from them, and if they want to stop me from jumping the Snake River Canyon, they can shoot me out of the air with an anti-aircraft gun or put my ass in jail. That's just the way it is. And that's all there is. Okay, you tell that asshole I said to kiss my ass.
Now, do you really think, even with some officials here are disputing the fact that
they can dispute anything they want? They're chicken shit two-bit politicians, and I don't like any of them.
So, for those who think young, be sure you're stacked up with a Pepsi Sex Pack. Pepsi 60 Peps Pack.
The first step is a new meeting of European Common Market foreign ministers. Italy wants such a session in Venice starting on or about May 10th. European political unity.
Now, a Monitor Sports Special. Another report on the $100,000 All-Star Bowling Tournament. Here's Sam Levine at Convention Hall, Philadelphia. Well, I guess we're having a little problem down there with the storm or something. We can't get a hold of Sam Levine. Is he there now? Okay, Sam, go.
All in Philadelphia for Monitor Sports.
That's it. We are still going to try and get Sam Levine. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Fellas, are we going to try and get... Okay, all right. When I say go, the next voice you hear will be that of Sam Levine. Okay, Sam, go.
In Philadelphia for Monitor Sports.
Since we... Well, you can't win them all, friends.
Here's another classic example of a spoonerism which delighted audiences.
And the guests at the Saigon inauguration of President II shipped Sam Payne.
We're on the air, Mac. Hi, everybody. This is Dean Martin.
And Jerry Lewis.
We'd like to tell you all about our latest and funniest picture for Paramount.
Take my word for it. The Caddy is the most hilarious picture we've ever made. Come on and join the fun. See Paramount's The Caddy.
Yeah, The Caddy.
How was that, you shitheel?
Without reading it?
I'm with you.
Okay. Next.
You still rolling?
All right, start.
You can cut that bit out.
I will. Okay.
This is Dean Martin.
And Jerry Lewis with a reminder to see our newest and funniest motion picture ever, The Caddy.
Oh, he's right, folks. Come on and join the fun in the most righteous 90 minutes of howls.
Righteous? That's riotous, you greaseball. Righteous. What is this, a religious picture?
This is religious, Martin.
And Jerry Lewis asking you to see our newest and funniest picture to date. No doubt about it, Dean. This is the funniest picture we've ever made. No kidding, folks. We're sensational. Take my word for it. Come on and join the fun. See Paramount's The Caddy. Yeah. It'll make you shit.
Cut out make.
You blew it. You blew it. You blew it. You blew it. You knew it. You knew it the moment you blew it. How could you do it? You blew it, you blew it, you blew it.
All right, that was album 2 of the 100 Super Duper Bloopers collection. And in upcoming podcasts, I will get to some of the others. And be glad to share my entire collection with you at one point or another.
Okay, well, let me wrap it up here because I'm going to play another piece here that's long. It runs close to 30 minutes. Some of you will remember when I did the radio show that occasionally I would play a very classic party record called The Crepitation Contest. Okay, I'm not going to do that here because most of you have already heard it and it's available elsewhere on the internet. However, I am going to do part 2, which I don't believe I ever did on the radio show. I can't remember because it's been like, I was there for like 17 years, so who knows. But anyway, this album was released in 1976, I believe, on the Laugh Records label. That's L-A-F-F, which was Red Fox's label, and also released some of the early Richard Pryor stuff, and some of the other X-rated nightclub comedians as well. But anyway, this is called Return of the Crepitation Contest, using the same characters from the original recording, but this was done 35 years after the first one, I think. But anyway, you've got to hear it, I guess, just for historical purposes. And it's uncut. Of course, I had to cut the first one. Just one word I had to take out, and it's going to be the same word you hear in this one, but I ain't cutting it because this is podcasting. Okay? So anyway, thanks again for downloading, for listening to the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, you can send us an email at brainboys@aol.com. And if you have any things that you want to submit to the show to be played, just send an email to that address, and I'll reply and let you know how that goes. All right? So thanks again for listening. Adios.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the great Maple Leaf Auditorium for the return bout of the Crepitation Contest. I'm your host for this great event, Bath Bottoms here. The stadium is packed to the hilt today, and I understand that there is standing room only, and that some of the more avid spectators actually camped out at the gates of this magnificent auditorium for as long as 3 days in order to get in to witness this great historical event, the contest of the century. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today will be decided who indeed is the international crepitation champion of the world, a title that, of course, bears no equal. The present title holder is, of course, none other than that legendary native son of Australia, Mr. Paul Boomer. Mr. Boomer, as you know, has shown what a really great sport he is by accepting the challenge of His Majesty Lord Windersphere from Wapping Farthill, Great Britain, and thereby has put up his title for this rematch. As you're aware, I'm sure, there's been a great deal of controversy over this sport for some years now. One might say that there has been a certain air about it. The main problem being, it seems, whether or not to admit women into open competition. As a matter of fact, the Board of Crepitation Commissioners were petitioned by the Women's Lib movement to admit the ladies into the field, thereby giving them equal crepitation rights. Excuse me. Thank you. We are honored today by the presence of some of the best-known crepitators in the world, and we'll be talking to them before the main event. We have such well-known lady crepitators as Shirley Boom Boom Laverne. Shirley, as you know, first entered into open competition at the tender age of 17, blowing right through the intermediate ranks and on to the minor leagues, and of course defeating the minor league champion, Martha Poofbreaker. Shirley's here, as are the other celebrity crepitators, in full crepitation costume. We'll also be talking with Mr. Alfie Trump, the great blind crepitator, who has been a great inspiration for some of the unfortunately handicapped persons throughout the world. Mr. Trump was instrumental in setting up the now famous Little Crepitators Leagues for children throughout the world, and also the great league for the visually handicapped Blind Man's Puffs. This is really a great day for you crepitating followers, isn't it, folks? We're also going to meet little Freddie Fartoots, the shortest person ever to enter into this sport. Freddie's been up against some really big wins in his short career and has proven himself a very strong contender in the minor leagues. I've just received word that Mr. Paul Boomer and His Majesty Lord Windersphere are approaching the auditorium and should be here very shortly. And of course we're going to try and get a word from both of these greatest of greats when they arrive. I'd like to take this opportunity to go over some of the rules of this sport for some of you who may not be fully aware of how the game is played. Each contestant has a series of 4 tries of a 30-second duration in which to perform as many farts of any numerical value they may. Of course, in the ring have been placed the traditional farting posts, the posts themselves being somewhat unique in that these particular posts were bought from Europe and were first used in this sport back in the late 1800s, and many a famous crab potato has held these fantastic posts, as is well evident from the smoothness of the tops of these 5-foot-high apparatus. For the great event today, they've been handsomely decorated with red, white, and blue bunting and have their leather-clad farting post covers over them, which of course will be removed when the contestants are ready for competition. The posts are, of course, exactly 15 feet apart, this being the distance rule set up by the great French fartsman Monsieur Pepe Le Pew in the early 1750s, after he mortally wounded his challenger, the great German fartsman Herr Ramsbottom, with a really good triple shutter blast, which he claimed was on account of the posts being only 6 feet apart. The tragedy, of course, set off international controversy, and the distance rule was changed. For you crab potato followers, you of course know that the distance rule is now known as Le Pou's rule. Well, as you can perhaps hear from the roar of the crowd, all eager and waiting, I believe the main participants are just arriving at the auditorium. Again, I wish to reassure you that we will attempt to get a word from both of these fine fartsmen as soon as we can. In the meantime, I believe we may talk to some of the other fine crab potatoes who are present for this historical event. Can we do that yet, Joe? Yes, I believe we can, folks. We'll be talking with them right away. Joe, can you get a microphone down there to the celebrity box? Yes, well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I've just received... we can? I have before me the great Shirley Boom Boom Laverne. And I must say that she is really decked out today. As we pointed out to you before, these famous crab potatoes are wearing their competition costumes in honor of the great occasion. I'd like to try to describe the costume that Miss Laverne is wearing today. It's probably one of the most extravagant I've seen in some time. I'll go from head to toe. She's wearing a gold bandana of honeycomb mesh with a striking blue feather in the rear. She has a bright orange flowered sarong wrapped about her body with matching fluffy slippers. Surely a sight for sore eyes. Wait a minute, she's unwrapping the sarong for some of the photographers. She's just revealed a rather splendid pair of finesse debris, of course being the traditional official drawers of the sport. Unlike the men's finesse debris, though, the ladies' drawers may be tight-legged. That is to say that they do not have to have the more acceptable boxer leg. The Zephyr window, again a standard in this sport, is 6-inch slit, 2 1/4 inches in width, and positioned in the rear of the garment for optimum use. Ms. Laverne's Zephyr window is outlined with a bright yellow trim, which is a striking scene against the zebra-colored finesse debris. Let me try to get a word from Shirley right now. She's being flocked by the press, but I believe we can. I think we can right now. Shirley, could you give us a word or two? No? Okay. Oh, folks, I must apologize. It seems that Miss Laverne is unavailable for us now. Perhaps after the photographers have finished with her, we'll get a word or two, time permitting. We'll try to get some other celebrity to the microphone for you now. Joe, let's see if we can get a word from Mr. Trump. Oh, wait a minute. Folks, as you can hear from the packed auditorium, the main competitors of the event have just entered into the auditorium, and the crowd is going wild. They're scrambling toward the main entrance for a close look at these two incredible fartsmen. Oh, folks, I hope you can still hear me. This crowd is going wild. Joe, have you gotten to Mr. Trump yet? Oh, good boy, Joe. Folks, as I promised, we're going to speak now with Mr. Alfie Trump. As I pointed out to you earlier, Mr. Trump is the famous blind crab potato. Tell our radio audience, if you will, where did you come from?
Well, I just came from the lavatory.
No, Mr. Trump, I mean, where were you born?
I'm sorry, I was born in Liverpool. Could I say hello to some of my mates? Hello, Uncle Herbert, Aunt Doreen. It's nice here in Canada.
Well, thank you, Mr. Trump. I wonder if you would describe for our listeners your costume.
Oh, certainly. Well, I'm wearing the more conventional type. I've got on a tight-fitting leather tunic of red, white, and blue, and thigh-high leather boots, and a white linen turban. I don't like to be flashy, you know.
Could you tell our listeners about your finesse debris?
Why not? They're in the colours of the Union Jack, that being red, white, and blue. And I've got a thin black outline around my Zephyr window. Listen, Mr. Bottoms, I'm so happy to be here today, and of course I'm hoping to see his lordship regain his crown.
Well, we shall soon see who's going to win, shan't we?
Yes, we shall. Keep a stiff upper lip, Your Highness. I'm for you.
Thank you, Mr. Alfie Trump. Well, let me see if we still have time to meet and talk with the well-known Freddie Fartoots. This crowd is certainly impatient. Joe, can you get Freddie over to the microphone? You can? You can? Well, very good. Hello, Mr. Fartoots.
Freddie, just call me Freddie.
Tell our listeners what prompted you to enter into open competition as a professional.
Well, I started as a child in the PU League and just sort of had a natural knack for the sport.
I'm
you know.
sorry to interrupt you, Freddie, but I've just received word that Mr. Paul Boomer and his lordship, Lord Windersphere, have indeed come out of their respective dressing rooms and are approaching the warm-up area. Perhaps you can hear the crowd, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, without a doubt, the most enthusiastic crowd I've ever seen in covering this sport. Joe, can we get to these two famous gentlemen? We can? Oh, good show, Joe, good show. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to excuse me a moment while I try to hedge my way down toward the warm-up area. Folks, here we are, not 15 feet away from His Majesty Lord Windersphere. Let's hope we can get His Majesty's attention for a moment and attempt to get a word from him. Your Majesty? May I have a word from you for the radio? Oh, thank you, Your Highness, thank you. Your Majesty, if I may be so bold as to ask, what prompted you to come out of seclusion and challenge Mr. Boomer? By the way, I'm Bath Bottoms here.
Well, you know, Roth.
Bath, Your Highness.
Yes. You know, Roth, Lady Windersphere passed on a few months back.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Hear what?
That her ladyship passed on.
She did? Oh, yes, she did. Well, anyway, she's gone now, and I've been beside myself for some time, and thought that I'd come out and challenge Mr. Boomer to a rematch and attempt to regain the championship for the House of Windersphere on behalf of her ladyship. Being the champion crapitator that I am, it's pretty hard, don't you know, without her ladyship's fanning. I mean, do you know, Roth?
Bath.
Yes. Roth, do you know what it's like taking farting practice without her ladyship's fanning? It's the tombs, I tell you, it's the tombs.
Well, Your Highness, we can certainly understand that.
You can?
Yes, we can. I know that you're most anxious to start your warm-up now, but let me ask you, if I may, just one more question. Do you have any advice for our listeners who may have inclinations of becoming fartsmen or, if you will, farts ladies themselves?
Yes. Get plenty of rest, eat the right food, and above all, and I believe this to be the greatest advice I could give to up-and-coming little farts, practice morning, noon, and night.
Thank you, Your Lordship. Thank you very much, and we'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all the best with your autobiography, Gone with the Wind.
Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have the great crapitator, His Highness Lord Windersphere. I'm going to try now to get over to the title holder now, Mr. Paul Boomer. Can we do that, Joe? Can we do that? We can? Oh, great. Good boy, Joe. I'm making my way over toward Mr. Boomer now. Oh, Mr. Boomer? Sir? May I have a word from you, sir? For the listeners all over the world. Tell us, Mr. Boomer, if you will, what actually prompted you to accept his lordship's challenge and thereby place your title up for grabs, as it were? Well, I don't think I've... Well, Mr. Boomer, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that was the warm-up tone. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps you heard the famous sound of the Archspiegel, the traditional wind instrument, so long associated with this sport. The crowd has grown quiet as these two fine gentlemen are at their respective warm-up corners. I'd like to take this short moment, ladies and gentlemen, to describe the costumes of these famous crapitators. Mr. Boomer is decked out in a fine silk maroon robe with yellow ribbing around the collar. He has his famous kangaroo boots on, they of course being fawn in color. He has a great Australian bush hat on his head, giving him an appearance of a real elegant gentleman. His lordship's robe is of scarlet velvet, with the crest of Windersphere embroidered on the back. His boots are knee-high and are of white leather. Of course, he has the competition crown cocked to the left side of his head, giving him a real jaunty air. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the judges and the referee, Mr. Arnie See-Through, have entered the warm-up area for the examination of the costume. The referee has instructed both the contestants to remove their robes. Their seconds have come to their assistance and have indeed removed their robes, revealing, of course, their finesse debris. You remember the traditional capitation drawers of the sport. Mr. Boomer's finesse debris are of bright orange with the initials embroidered on the rear. In fact, on one side of this fine Australian backside is a small badge in the shape of a kangaroo, and also Mr. Boomer's Zephyr window is outlined in gold. His Majesty Lord Windersphere is sporting a smashing royal blue finesse debris with bright red tassels about 3 inches long around Zephyr window. The judges have examined Mr. Boomer's drawers and are giving the high sign in approval of his apparel. They're walking over towards his lordship. Wait a minute, what have we here? Oh, what a sport His Majesty is. Ladies and gentlemen, he has removed the tassels from around his Zephyr window. Oh, the crowd really liked that. Ladies and gentlemen, the tassels have been removed. The tassels, as you may well know, could have caused a lot of controversy in that they may have given more audible sound to his lordship's parts, thereby affording His Highness an unfair advantage. The judges have given the high sign for his lordship's attire. The judges are leaving the area now. The referee, Mr. Arnie See-Through, has beckoned the two men toward him between the parting posts. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the crowd is silent now, in bated anticipation as the World's Championship is about to commence. As I pointed out for you earlier in the broadcast, there will be 4 tries for each contestant, each being of a 30-second duration. And as is standard in this sport, when an incumbent crapitator has accepted a challenge from one that he has defeated previously, there will be a coin toss to see which of these fine crapitators goes to the post first. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the referee is about to toss the coin. He tosses it high in the air. It falls. It goes over toward it. He goes over toward it. He's walking over. Oh, the tension. You can't believe the tension here. Oh, great. Perhaps you could hear that, folks. The toss has gone in favor of Mr. Boomer. He is at the farting post now. He assumes the stance that he's so well noted for. Legs spread apart, about 4 feet, hands tightly grasping the post, head straight back, face toward the sky, eyes closed. There's a slight smirk on his face. All right, here we go. He gives a light bounce from one leg to the other in a sort of roll. Oh, what a joy to see this man perform with ease and concentration. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a shutter blast worth 30 points. Oh, great start, Paul. Let's see, he still has time. He has time. Oh, a drill blow, and a magnificent one at that, for an additional 25 points. And a follow-up freep, a little 5-point freep. Let's wait for the official score. His Highness is in for a rough shot today, ladies and gentlemen. Nevertheless, he waves to the crowd as he approaches the farting post. He assumes his stance. Wait a minute. He's not going to use the post. Lord Windersphere is not going to use the post. He has his hands firmly on his hips. He has his posterior pushed out slightly. Oh my goodness, what a whopper. Ladies and gentlemen, that was, wait a minute, his legs are starting to buckle. He's trembling, but he's still performing, he's gained control again, and he's still drying away. Oh, His Majesty must have really practiced for this event. That was indeed the famous and very rare and extremely dangerous part to perform, the elongated sputter blast, worth, of course, 75 points. It's official, as you perhaps heard, ladies and gentlemen. It is official. With these two men opening up with such high scores for their first tries, we could even witness some sort of world record here today at the Maple Leaf. Mr. Boomer is at the post. Mr. Boomer is not going to use the post either. Oh, what a contest this is, folks. Oh, Mr. Boomer's having trouble down there, folks. He's having trouble. 5 seconds have gone by without... Oh, Mr. Boomer's really having trouble. 5 seconds have gone by. They've gone by without so much as a small freak. Wait. Oh, come on, Paul. Come on, Paul. A double whiffle worth only 20 points. This crowd is stunned, ladies and gentlemen, and I might add, so am I. Well, nevertheless, it's a fart that counts. Mr. Boomer is showing what a great sportsman he is and is waving to the stands. His Majesty is now at the post. He's grasping the post now, and it seems to be a great effort to outstretch Mr. Boomer. Oh, 3 pretty farts in rapid succession, and a follow-up bleeper for a total of 35 points, of course. Of course, a frutty fart by itself being worth only 7 points, except when performed in rapid succession, where they become worth 10 points. The small and less significant follow-up bleeper being worth only 5. Mr. Boomer is at the post now. He looks perplexed for a moment. His seconds are running over to him. Oh, wait a minute. He's waved them off. He's waved them off and is grasping the post. Oh, what a comeback! What a comeback! A la Pooh cheer! A la Pooh cheer! Ladies and gentlemen, and a Plotzführer! A Plotzführer! A fine example of intestinal fortitude. Mr. Boomer has just gained the lead with what a score, what a score. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Boomer is in the lead with a score of 125 to His Majesty's 110. And here we are in the middle of the contest. Both men being at the post twice. Lord Windersphere is up now. He's grasping the post. Oh, it's indeed a great pleasure to see this man perform with such ease. A look of ecstasy is on his face. A trill blow! A trill blow! Oh, he still has time. He still has time. Followed up by a seeper. Oh, I believe that was a rustic seeper. Yes, it was. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this crowd is growing frantic. This crowd is growing frantic. We're certainly witnessing some serious farting here today. His Majesty is in the lead again with 150 points. And I believe that is a record. I believe that is a record. Joe, could you check that for me? It is? Oh, it is a record, ladies and gentlemen. It is a record. It is a record. Ladies and gentlemen, a world record. The highest score ever attained with only 3 tries at the post. Mr. Boomer is at the post. Oh, how great! How great! Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no! What has happened? What has happened? This crowd, this whole auditorium, they're all on their feet. The referee has gone over to Mr. Boomer's post and is examining Mr. Boomer's posterior. Oh, no! Oh, no! Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul Boomer has disqualified himself. Ladies and gentlemen, he's shit! He's shit! Mr. Paul Boomer has shit! What a way to go. He's beckoned his seconds over for the cleanup. The referee is holding up the arm of His Majesty Lord Windersphere, the new champion crowd-taker of the world. We'd like to thank you for being with us today at the Great Maple Leaf Auditorium for this, the return of the Clarification Contest. This is Boss Bottoms bidding you all a good day and God bless.